Hello everyone, welcome to today's English lesson. Please make a start by writing the date and title in your books. Hope you're all okay and had a lovely weekend. It won't let me go to the next slide. What is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. So before we start today's lesson, we're just going to have a very quick spelling recap. We are going to have another practice of adding the suffixes ed or ing to a root word. So you've got 3 sentences here. You will need to read the sentence and then there's a gap in the sentence and the root word has been given to you underneath. You need to decide whether you have to add ed or ing to the root word for it to make sense in the sentence. And then, of course, you need to add it by spelling it correctly and write out the sentence into your books, please. Remember to have a think about if it's got a short vowel sound, then you may need to double the final consonant at the end. Or if it ends in an E, you might need to drop the E before adding the suffix. So try and remember all of those things that we learned about in our spelling lesson recently. Okay, so pause the video here and have a go at that now. Okay, hello. Let's have a look at the answers then so that you can mark your own. Okay, so sentence 1, there was a bird humming right outside my window. So you had to add ing to that word for it to make sense in the sentence. You also had to double that final consonant. You had to double that M because it's got the short sound in it, hum, and you can feel the short vibration when you say hum, h. You can feel the vibration in your throat, which means it's a short sound, double in the final consonant before you add the ing suffix. Sentence 2, my brother dropped his cereal on the floor. Again, you've got that short O sound, drop. It's not a long sound, it's a short vowel sound, so you have to double that final consonant. So you should have doubled that P before you added the ED onto the end. And sentence 3, the sound was making my ears hurt. So you were adding ing to that word, and the root word make ends with an E, so you needed to drop that E before you can add the ing. So hopefully you managed to get those correct. If not, you can correct your own, that's absolutely fine. Please still upload them to Seesaw even if you don't get them correct. Not everything that you upload to Seesaw has to be completely perfect. It's good for us to be able to see actually what you did and which ones you got correct, just like we would do in school. So it helps us to know which things we might need to revisit when we come back, or which things everyone seems to be fine with. Okay, so just make sure that you are uploading your work and you don't have to perfectly correct it before you upload it, okay? I just also would like to just draw your attention to a handwriting point about the G, the P, and the G again in this word. So they are letters that drop below the line. So as you can see, the round bit of the G sits on top of the line. And then the tail, the descender, the real word, not the tail, the descender, the bit that hangs below the line, needs to go below, okay? So it's the same with the P. I couldn't quite get it to work on the PowerPoint, but if I just draw a line and show you the P, the curved bit should be the bit that sits on the line, and the descender is the bit that drops below the line, just like the G. So could you just check in your writing that you are doing that you've got that bit touching the line and the descender dropping below the line, okay? Just make sure that you've got that correct in your writing. Okay. So this week in English, we are going to do some poetry. And today's English lesson, we are just going to be reading 2 different poems by 2 different poets and thinking about what's the same about them, what's different about them, which one do we prefer and why. Later in the week, you're actually going to be writing some of your own poetry, which I'm really excited for. So we're going to start by having a look at 2 poems in today's lesson. So we have actually got a video of the poet performing his poem. So you don't have to listen to my voice reading it. You can actually click on the link, which is below in the video description on YouTube, and listen to Michael Rosen, who is the poet, performing his poem called Words Are Ours. So click on the link now and have a listen. You can listen to it more than once if you want to, but pause the video here and off you go and do that now. Okay, welcome back. So I'm hoping that you've restarted the video because you've just gone away, you've clicked on that video link and you've watched the video of Michael Rosen performing his poem Words Are Ours. So we're now going to have a look at that poem actually written down on the screen. So this isn't the whole poem, it actually goes over 2 slides because it's quite a long one. But so let's have a read of that together where you can actually see the words written down. So, words are ours. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is ours. The names of places, the names of flowers. The name of names, words are ours. Page turners for early learners. How to boil an egg or mend a leg, words are ours. Wall charts, love hearts. Sports reports, short retorts, jam jar labels, timetables, following the instructions for furniture constructions, ancient mythologies, online anthologies, who she wrote for, who to vote for, joke collections, results of elections, words are ours. The tale's got you gripped, have you learned your script? The method of an experiment, ingredients for merriment, waiting for your text, RE, what's next? Print media, Wikipedia, words are ours. Subtitles on TV, details on your CV, book of great speeches, guide to the best beaches. Looking for chapters on velociraptors, words are ours. The mystery of history, the history of mystery, the views of news, the news of views. Words to explain, the words for pain. Doing geography, autobiography. Arabian Nights, fighting for your rights. What to do in payphones, goodbyes on gravestones. Words are ours. Okay, so I just want you to have a think. You don't need to write anything down for this, but I just want you to think to yourself, what type of poem is it? So does it rhyme or is it a non-rhyming poem? And what is the poem about? So just have a think to yourself. If you want to write some notes down about it, you absolutely can, but you don't have to. So pause the video here to give yourself time to think about those 2 questions. And if you need to, you can go back and listen to me reading it again, or you can even go back and listen to Michael Rosen reading it again, if you're not quite sure. Okay. Okay, so it's a rhyming poem. It's structured in a way where you've got 2 lines together that rhyme. And what is it about? Well, it's a collection of things that you can do with words and how we use words in different ways. So it's all about a celebration of words and different things that we use them for. So trying to think of some examples that were in the poem now. Things like... what things did he say? There was some text speech in there. He was talking about instructions for building furniture. He was talking about geography, history. There's so much in there that he was talking about. We use words all the time, don't we? We use written words, we use verbal words when we're talking to each other. Words are everywhere. And that's the point of that poem, is just to emphasize the fact that words are everywhere. They're used for everything. And it's just a collection of different things that we do with words. Okay, the second poem that we're going to read is this poem here, and it's called The Magic Box, and it's by a poet called Kit Wright. So I'm going to read it to you first, and then there is a video of Kit Wright reading it himself. So, The Magic Box. I will put in the box the swish of a silk sari on a summer night, fire from the nostrils of a Chinese dragon, the tip of a tongue touching a tooth. I will put in the box a snowman with a rumbling belly, a sip of the bluest water from Lake Lucerne, a leaping spark from an electric fish. I will put in the box 3 violet wishes spoken in Gujarati, the last joke of an ancient uncle, and the first smile of a baby. I will put into the box a 5th season and a black sun, a cowboy on a broomstick, and a witch on a white horse. My box is fashioned from ice and gold and steel, with stars on the lid and secrets in the corners. Its hinges are the toe joints of dinosaurs. I shall surf in my box on the great high rolling breakers of the wild Atlantic, then wash ashore on a yellow beach, the colour of the sun. Okay, so here is the video link to click on. It's a BBC Bite-Size link. It's in the video description below on YouTube. So click on that and then you can actually listen to Kit Wright reading the poem himself. Off you go. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you've had a chance to listen to Kit Wright reading the poem himself, doing a much better job than I did. So we are going to have a look at some vocabulary in the poem, because there's a lot of language, a lot of new vocabulary in that poem that you might not have heard of. I've picked a couple of words that I think you might need explaining. There might be other words in there that you're also not sure about, and you might be able to ask somebody at home to help you find out the definitions of those words, or to help explain it to you if there are any words. Or you can leave a comment on Seesaw and we will do our best to explain it to you that way. Okay, so the first one I'm going to go through is sari. Now, oh dear, what am I doing with that highlighter? Oh dear, okay, sorry year 3, let me just get the rubber. Okay, we're good. So it won't let me highlight the full word because I've got the timer and the stop thing there, but there we go. I've highlighted part of the word. Okay, so sari. Now, a sari is a type of clothing that is traditionally worn by Hindu women. Now, Hindu is a religion, so it's traditionally worn by women who follow the Hindu religion. Although nowadays it is a type of clothing that is worn by more and more people. You can see, I've put some pictures in over here of some saris. They are usually in very bright colours. They are beautiful. They're designed, they've usually got gold on them. They've usually got beads and lots of decoration, and they're very beautiful. So the first line of his poem is the swish of a silk sari on a summer night. So it's the swish of the sari. If you imagine the dress swishing on a summer's night, so that's what he's talking about there. Lake Lucerne is a lake in Switzerland. I've put a picture of it here. It's famous for being really, really blue water. And so I think the line in the poem is something like a sip of the bluest water from Lake Lucerne. So, and you can see in the picture just how bright and blue the water is of the lake. Gujarati, that is a language that is spoken in Gujarat in India. I hope I've said that correctly. But yes, so that is a type of language. And then this bit here, breakers of the wild Atlantic. I thought I would just talk about the word breakers, because a breaker is where you've got a wave that crashes and then it creates that white foam. So in the picture here, you can see where after the wave has crashed, it then creates that white foam, and that white foam is called a breaker. So it's like the bit after the wave has crashed down. So breakers of the wild Atlantic is, as you can see in the picture here, it's this white foam that you can see of the waves. Okay. So the first poem we looked at, Words Are Ours by Michael Rosen, that was a rhyming poem, and it was a collection of things that we can do with words. This poem, The Magic Box, what type of poem is this poem? Does it rhyme? Does it not rhyme? And what is it about? So you can pause the video here to have a think about that. You don't need to write anything down, and you might want to actually go back and re-watch the video of either Kit Wright reading the poem or me reading the poem, or you might want to just go back and read it yourself as it's on the screen, and see if you can work out, is it a rhyming or non-rhyming, and what is it about? Off you go. Okay, welcome back. So this poem, The Magic Box, is a non-rhyming poem. So it doesn't rhyme. So it's different to Words Are Ours by Michael Rosen, because that poem was a rhyming poem, and this poem doesn't rhyme. So not every poem has to rhyme. When it's a poem that doesn't rhyme, we usually call it free verse. So you either have a rhyming poem or a free verse poem. And this poem by Kit Wright, The Magic Box, is a free verse poem. So it's a non-rhyming poem. And what is it about? It all seems a bit random, I think. But when you actually read it a bit more carefully and you understand what it is, it makes a lot more sense. And all it is a collection of memories or things that make the poet happy, that make Kit Wright happy. So all of the things that he thinks about that bring a smile to his face, or things that he remembers happening from his childhood that make him happy. And he is just collecting all of those things together, and he's saying, I'm going to put them inside my magic box to keep them, I suppose. And some of the things are things that aren't even possible to put inside a box. So he's playing with words a bit there, and he's coming up with things that are impossible to actually hold and put inside a box. So it's also a collection of things that relate to his identity, to him as a person, and where he grew up and things that he did as a child. So starting to see some differences between the two poems. The first poem was a rhyming poem. The second poem was a non-rhyming poem. So we've got a difference there already. But there's a similarity that we can see about what they're about. So the first poem was a collection of things that we can do with words. And the second poem is a collection of memories or things that make the poet happy. So both poems are about gathering things together and almost like lists of different things. So that's one way that the two poems are similar. Okay, so comparing the two poems. Now, what I would like you to do is have a go at drawing this table out into your book. Now, you don't need to worry too much about drawing nice, neat lines and everything. You can just write out the two headings, Words Are Ours and The Magic Box, the 2 poems, and then down the side, even inside the margin, you can write these 4 categories. So we've got theme, what is the poem about? Any repetition that is used within the poems. Now, poets usually repeat things when they write poetry, and in both of these poems, both of the 2 poems, there are lines that are repeated throughout the poem. So I wonder if you can listen back to the poems and pick out which are the bits that are repeated in each of them. I also then want you to think about the length of the lines. So are they short lines or are they long lines? And is it a rhyming or a non-rhyming poem? So for each of the 2 poems, I'd like you to fill out the information about each of those 4 things, so that you've got it in your book. So you've got the names of the 2 poems and then you've got information about each of these 4 things. So you might need to go back in the video to re-listen to them, and that's fine. You probably will have to, actually, because you probably aren't going to remember them off of the top of your head. So pause the video here to take as much time as you need to do that. Off you go. Welcome back. So I'm going to go to the next slide where I have filled in the table. So you can mark your own. You can add in any information that you might have missed out or maybe not picked up on when I go to the next slide. Okay, so the theme of the 2 poems. So Words Are Ours. The theme is that it's a collection of ways that we use words. And The Magic Box, the theme is that it's a collection of memories and things that make the author or the poet happy. So those are the 2 themes. So similar in that it's a collection of things, but they are about two different things. Repetition, so things that are repeated throughout the poems. So Words Are Ours, the phrase words are ours is repeated throughout the poem. So he gives a few examples of how we use words and then he says words are ours, and that repeats throughout the poem. So well done if you picked up on that. You can give yourself a big tick for that. And in The Magic Box, you've got the sentence, I will put in the box. So every verse of the poem begins with, well, not every verse, the last 2 verses don't, but most of the verses start with the sentence, I will put in the box. So that's repeated throughout the poem. So well done if you picked up on that as well. You can give yourself a big tick. The length of the lines. So in the poem Words Are Ours, the lines are short and punchy. Some of the lines are only 1 word long. Some of them are 2 words, 3 words. But in the poem The Magic Box, the lines are longer, they're more detailed. So things like in Words Are Ours, where you've got lines that have just got 2 words in them, versus in The Magic Box, where he writes things like the swish of a silk sari on a summer night. It's a lot longer, there's a lot more detail in there, there's a lot more description in there. So well done if you picked up on that difference between the 2 of them. And rhyming and non-rhyming. So we've spoken about this. So Words Are Ours is a rhyming poem and The Magic Box is a non-rhyming poem. It's a free verse poem. So there's no real rhyme or pattern. Okay, last bit of today's English lesson then is for you to have a think about which poem you prefer. And it's for you to justify your opinion. And justifying means explaining and saying why you think that. So it's not just about saying, I prefer The Magic Box, full stop. It's about saying, I prefer The Magic Box because, and then saying why you prefer it. And I've put a couple of boxes at the bottom here. You've got the orange box and the green box. Now the orange box relates to Michael Rosen's poem Words Are Ours, and the green box relates to The Magic Box. So I would like you to refer to these things in your opinion. So if you're saying that you prefer the poem, The Magic Box, try and make reference to some of these things. Is it because you liked the long and detailed lines that the poet uses? Do you like all of the description and the words? Do you prefer it because it's got memories in it and it's things that make the poet happy and you like that about the poem? Or if you prefer Michael Rosen's poem, I prefer Words Are Ours because it's got short and punchy lines, and because it rhymes, and I like poems that rhyme. So either way, it's your decision. You're going to tell us what you think and why, but I would like you to make reference to these poetic devices that are at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so pause the video here and have a go at writing your sentence to explain which one you prefer and why. Off you go. Okay, so final activity for today's lesson is a speaking and listening activity, and it's one that we maybe don't get so much of an opportunity to see from you when you're not at school. And usually we would be doing these speaking and listening activities all the time. In lots of our lessons, we would be getting you to read out loud, and we would be listening to you. And obviously that's a lot more difficult when you're not in school and we can't see you. So I thought we would have a go. I would like you to choose one of the poems, maybe choose your favourite, either Words Are Ours or The Magic Box, and have a go at performing it out loud. So I've put a copy of the poems on the website, on the school website. So if you go back to the school website, you will see that they are on there, or you could rewind the video and go back at, because they're both on the video as well. So you can, as an optional activity, is you could record yourself performing one of the poems out loud and upload it to Seesaw for us to see. So no one else can see what you upload to Seesaw except the adults, so except the teachers, us. So you don't have to worry about other people seeing it and maybe being a bit embarrassed. But we would love to see you having a go at performing one of these poems. So if you can either record yourself or you can ask someone at home to help you, that would be amazing and we would love to see it. But you don't have to if you don't want to. But we would like you to have a go at performing one of the poems out loud anyway. So have a think and have a think about the way that you're projecting your voice, the expression that you're using, so that you're not just standing reading in one monotone all the way through. I will put in the box the swish of a silk sari on a summer night. So you're making it a bit animated, facial expression, and making it as interesting as you can for your audience. Okay, finally, we will need you to gather 3 things for tomorrow's lesson. So if you could gather at some point today, this evening, or tomorrow morning before the lesson, but would be easier and better for you to put first things first and gather them now so that you're ready. You will need a photo of a special occasion. This doesn't have to be a printed out photo, because I know we don't often have printed out photos anymore, but it might be a photo that is on a device that you've got, or on your parents' phone or something like that, or it might be a photo from around the house that's in a photo frame, but a photograph of a special occasion that makes you happy when you think about it. You don't have to actually be in the photo. It could just be a photo of when you've been on holiday somewhere, a photo of being on the beach, or being out for the day, a photo of you and your family. It could be anything, just something, a photograph of an occasion that makes you happy when you look at it. The second object is a treasured object that you have, something that you really care about and means a lot to you. So it might be a special teddy bear that you've had since you were born, or that you've had for years, or that somebody special gave to you. It might be a comfort blanket that you've got. It might be a special toy that means a lot to you. And the third thing is one of your favourite books. So please go and gather those three things so that you are ready for tomorrow's English lesson. Put them somewhere safe so that tomorrow's English lesson, when I say go and get your three things, you're able to just go and grab them nice and quickly before we start. Okay. Well done today, everybody. Keep up the hard work. Looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you performing one of the poems on Seesaw.